So Senator Elizabeth Warren is still going off about the big beautiful bill saying Medicaid is being stripped from everyday Americans. Watch as Scott Bessent absolutely dismantles her argument and basically says Medicaid is not for illegal immigrants.
About the Republican big beautiful bill, which will knock about 16 million people off their health care coverage and cut programs that keep groceries cheaper for millions of families in order to try to pay for about $4 trillion in tax giveaways that are mostly going to be sucked up by millionaires, billionaires, and wealthy corporations. So, Mr. Bessent, Secretary Bessent, I'd like to start with a very simple question. Will this bill increase or decrease the deficit?
They're varying scoring on that, Senator Warren.
You're the Secretary of the Treasury, so I'm asking you. What is your view? Will this bill increase or decrease the deficit?
It is my view that over the 10-year window, it will decrease.
You know, do you have anybody who agrees with you on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask my question.
Okay.
Every credible independent expert agrees that Trump and the Republicans' big beautiful bill would add trillions of dollars to the national debt and would not even come close to paying for itself. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, the Penn-Wharton budget model, and the Yale Budget Lab all agree on this, and they're looking at 10-year windows, thank you. So do the Conservative Tax Foundation and Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, conservative groups. Even Elon Musk and the Wall Street Journal are criticizing the bill for ballooning the national debt. The only people who are saying publicly that it's not going to add to the national debt are you, Donald Trump, the Republicans in Congress. Do you have an independent group that has put forward numbers that disagrees with all of these conservative groups and disagrees with the Wall Street Journal on this?
Well, Senator, interesting to see you aligned with Elon Musk, but if I add...
You're no more shocked than I am.
If we want to take the full congressional budget scoring, they predict, and I don't agree with their methodology, they predict a $2.4 trillion deficit. But
okay, so the answer to the question is yes.
No, but may I finish? They include but they've also scored $2.8 trillion in tariff income. So even in Washington, D.C. math,
okay, so,
in Washington, D.C. math, that is a $400 billion surplus.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. This bill, you admit, will increase the deficit by $2.4 trillion, but you think there will be another bill and another set of agreements that somehow materialize, haven't materialized so far, don't have any statutory authority, but that will make up the difference. So the answer to the original question, will this bill increase or decrease the deficit? I think you just said it will increase. This bill increases the deficit.
No, I want to use all the CBO scoring, and you can't take one without the other. I don't agree with the CBO.
One is the law that we are scoring, the bill that is in front of us. We don't have a tariff bill in front of us to score. Mr. Secretary, let me go on to the second question. You have said that government spending is, quote, out of control. You have also called government spending, quote, unsustainable. In fact, in the name of fiscal responsibility, you're working with the Republicans on this big, beautiful bill to pass the biggest cuts to Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act in American history. So, Mr. Secretary, help me understand here. Why is the national debt so very important that you're trying to kick 16 million people off their health insurance, but increasing the national debt doesn't seem to matter if you're cutting taxes for billionaires and billionaire corporations?
Well, first of all, a huge portion of this goes to family-owned businesses that are pass-through entities that are below that level, Senator, and I am sure you share my goals of Main Street prosperity.
You know, I'm glad to do tax cuts for people of modest means. The question I'm asking is, why does the deficit not matter to you? We're talking about knocking 16 million people off their health care, but it matters It does matter to you if we're knocking people off health care, but not.
Well, first of all, that figure is overstated by 5.1 million. That is amount not attributable to provisions in this bill.
So you think it's okay just to knock 10 million people off their health care?
First of all, let's set that straight. Work requirements account for 8 million of CBO's claim number. Again, we're creating an economy that promotes and rewards.
It's clear, Secretary Bessent, that you don't want to answer the question.
No, Senator, I am answering it.
No, you're not.
And what I want is for Medicaid to be used for mothers and children as it was meant, not for 1.4 million illegal aliens, not for able-bodied people.
Medicaid is not used for people who are not documented. Mr. Chairman, I just want to say here, the part that troubles me the most is that the Secretary is deeply worried about the deficit and is willing to knock 16 million, or as he says, merely 11 million people off their health care. Matters so much, but it doesn't matter so much if you're cutting taxes for billionaires. Then it's okay to run up a big deficit. I think that's wrong.
We do have some differences of opinion. However, we also have a time crunch. I'm going to ask the remaining senators, and including any of mine who show up, to stick with the 5 minutes, please.
The thing that bothers me about people like her is that she doesn't even be quiet long enough for Bessent to give a solid, concise answer in which that she can fully understand what he is saying. In fact, it just seems that she likes the sound of her own voice and she doesn't want to hear anything that he has to say. She just has her own preconceived notions and refuses to listen to anybody else. Isn't the whole purpose of Congress and the debates and the hearings that you guys have a free flow of information and you can come up with a mutual conclusion? But if you just refuse to listen, you refuse to acknowledge that, you know what, I actually might be wrong. If we don't have that, we're never going to have any lasting progress unless we just vote people like this out of power. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Trump calls her Pocahontas because she claimed to be a freaking Native American to get into college. This woman is nothing but a liar, and she is just brain dead in regards to modern economics. I mean, if you ask Elizabeth Warren, she would be fine adding $100 trillion to the national deficit as long as every single person in the entire world had access to the United States and all their resources. You contrast that to Scott Bessent. This man is a financial guru. He knows what he's talking about because he's been in the business for 30 plus years. This man is sharp as a whip and he's not afraid to shut people up when they're wrong. That's why Donald Trump has him negotiating with these foreign countries regarding the tariffs, because this man will not stop. He is a pit bull. Regards to Medicaid, don't you think that American taxpayer money should go to American citizens? I don't understand why people think that you can just walk in through our southern border and be treated better than other Americans. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm all for treating human beings with respect, this, that, and the other. But you have to show respect to other Americans. You can't just let people come in illegally while other people had to go through the grind, to go through the process of becoming a documented American citizen. The thing about Elizabeth Warren, I just know for a fact this woman's receiving kickbacks from her donors and her special interest groups. She is a lobbyist for Big Pharma. That's all that she is. She doesn't actually stand up for the American people. And my conclusion on her is one of two things. She either doesn't know what she's talking about whatsoever, or two, she just does whatever she's told. That's it. Because you cannot be this idiotic, this brain dead on so many key pivotal issues regarding America. You shouldn't be considered a bad person for wanting sensible spending in this nation. We can't just keep throwing money down a well and expecting us to be a thriving country, a thriving civilization. We need to know where each and every tax dollar is going and sit back and say, is this a wise use of our money? Or that's common sense, but these people don't care because it's not their money being wasted, it's ours. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on this down below. Who is your least favorite politician in power right now? Honestly, I'm a big crypto guy, so mine might be Elizabeth Warren because this woman doesn't know what she's talking about and she's constantly trying to hold America back from greatness. But yeah, let me know yours down below. I'd love to hear that. And if you enjoyed, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, and wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.